There has been a shortage of pasture and water in some of the areas. They have been squeezed into small areas, unproductive areas. And so I think it is just natural and normal to see cows within our midst. Because only some few years ago, we had Embakasi was a grazing ground for the community. And that land has shrunk. We are expanding further. To a certain extent, you're telling people you can keep Nairobi National Park, thousands of kilometers, for the rich to go and enjoy themselves and the tourists to go and have fun. But your cattle can die on the edge of this particular national park. So we need to accommodate, we need to create an environment in which we can all live together. For the Maasai now, because of the drastic climate change that they're facing a matter of survival, and many of the nomads up north similarly on the edge of extinction as far as pastoralism is concerned.
Indeed. All right, we just want to also focus a bit, now that you're here, just looking at the dailies as well. I wanted just to scroll over to see what is happening with your party. And we can see this editorial cartoon. Maybe you want to just comment on it. We have the Deputy Minority Whip as far as the affairs of the party is concerned. If my director may just pick up that so that we can continue. That is today's Daily Nation is holding this particular editorial cartoon. And it says, Deputy Minority Whip, the law is clear. The law is very clear. The Mount Kenya unity facing Uhuru is a splash as well. We can see also a U-turn from the Deputy President, the bashing that was there before, the pelting of very caustic words, so to speak, also as well. But you're a member of Jubilee Party. What is the current state of play?
Well, I mean, Jubilee is split. The majority of us who are sitting in Parliament have moved on. We have formed our own leadership based on our needs. And then there's the other old Jubilee, which was holding the headquarters, the other political wing, which is contesting that. And this is a matter in courts. And every day, one section of Jubilee wins the court decision or the tribunal's decision, and then the other side appeals. So this is what has been going on. But in reality, the majority of the Jubilee Party, overwhelming majority of the Jubilee Party, who are in Parliament and in the Senate, have selected Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega as their leaders. And then there is the Kioni faction,
yes,
which is sitting in some office trying to play a relevant role in the politics. So this is going to be determined in the political tribunal and in the courts. But because there's a lot of, this party maybe has a lot of money, they're willing to go to court indefinitely. But somehow, somewhere, between now and early next year, there will be a decisive judicial decision which will determine the leadership. But it is obvious that at the moment the Registrar of Political Parties recognizes Sabina Chege as the chair and Kanini Kega as the Secretary General of this particular section of Jubilee. What is happening is that the other rump of Jubilee is contesting this in courts. But the tribunal has already determined that. It has determined that the decisions made by the Kioni wing has no basis, is not legal, and we're just waiting for that to be formalized at the end of this court decisions that have been registered in Kiambu, in Mombasa, in different places, just to make it difficult for the party to move forward. But it's important for Jubilee to move forward so that it can play an active role in the politics of the country, because these court decisions seem to have slowed down our ability to be able to move forward and speak for our constituents.
Right. And in light of that, of course, you've rented my thoughts towards that. I was to ask you, reading from your tea leaves, what do you see as the future of Jubilee now that it's been really, or they've slowed their role, so to speak, right now?
Well, I mean, the Jubilee has a constituency. It has elected 32 members of parliament and senators and hundreds of MCAs. So it is an important constituency. It's the second largest party in the Azimio alliance. It is bigger
if they're still in Azimio.
It is bigger. Yeah, technically, legally we are in Azimio until such a time, in fact, we would be exiting. And I think the majority view of the 32 or so members, apart from one or two maybe, is that we move forward and become a standalone independent party rather than be mashed up in the current political push and pull. Mm-hmm. So I think Jubilee would exist in some form or another. It would engage in another engagement and another realignment come the next election. This is a typically Kenyan political scenario. Mm-hmm. It's not different from what has happened in the past. And because the problem also is because our political parties are not deep-rooted. They are really not political parties that are run by members. This is the first time, in fact, there's an attempt by a group of members of parliament to take over the running of a political party. But in previous occasions, parties are run by party leaders. They are more or less the personal properties of those leaders. And the rank and file and members of parliament and MCAs do not have much say in what happens in those political parties. Mm-hmm. So I think we need also change in our political culture, in our political party mentality, so that we have deep-rooted membership parties that have grassroots support. I think the nearest to that is ODM at the moment. Mm-hmm. And UDA is trying to develop a broad-based membership system. Mm-hmm. But there isn't really a continuity, a party that has existed for a very long time with a very strong power base within the population.
Okay, given this, factions within Jubilee Party, and I know also Professor Peter Kagwanja, you had given a stab at politics as well, running under still Jubilee, and you felt somehow frustrated because of the state of affairs within also the nominations that were done in Murang'a as well. But given this now chasm that is still developing, do you see a breakup of Jubilee Party? Because if you have this faction within Jubilee Party who feel they have sort of the lordly right to be on that particular seat as the leaders of a Jubilee Party, and we have another faction of the Sabina Chege faction, even moving forward when we have a determination